Aye, right, folks. As you can see, I'm back on the daily record. I've actually just recorded this a moment ago, and I went to actually edit it, and that's when I discovered that I hadn't turned the mic on. So this is the second time I'm doing this. Can't believe it. Anyway, as you can see, I'm once again back on the daily record. This is a story by Alan McEwen. Apparently, Alan's the court reporter at the Daily Record. Well, welcome to Glasgow News, Alan. Your story made it, pal. But it's a horrible story. It's something that I heard about through, a friend that lives in this area. And this is the first I've actually seen it in the local press, the red top. So let's get into the headline. It says here, a young mum was left crumpled in a pool of blood before dying in an Edinburgh disturbance. Paramedics worked desperately to save 33-year-old Danielle Davidson after she was found fatally stabbed, injured on the street in Leith. Now, Leith, for those that don't know, is an area in Edinburgh, not far from the Scottish Parliament, in fact, where that Yumza Humza, the guy that hates white people, lives. I him. Anyway, and it's an area that has a checkered past, let's say. It's been getting better and better and better, and there's a lot of money being spent, and there's a lot of nice places in Leith. But there's also, as you're going to find out, a couple of shady areas that really need attention, and I'll go into that as we go through it. All right, so you can see some flowers there left. This is where the people are walking is Constitution Street in Leith. So basically, let's get into it. Police confirmed last night they have launched a murder probe into Danielle's death, and a 16-year-old a 16-year-old male has been arrested and charged with her murder. Last night, friends and family paid tribute to young Danielle, who also has a young child who has now been looked after by family members. And our hearts go out to Danielle's family and friends at this time, obviously, because what an awful thing to happen to a 33-year-old mother in the middle of the street in broad daylight. Now, that's a shocker, right? I'm going to go into that in a big way later about the lack of police presence in this area. Anyway, it goes on to say here, a close family friend said Danielle was a mother and a daughter. To lose her life in this horrific way is just too awful to think about. She didn't deserve this. It's just heartbreaking to think what her family are going through. And there she's there, right? Danielle. An eyewitness who asked not to be named said, I was walking home from work and heard a commotion. I went over to see what was happening. She was lying on her side, covered in blood. It was really bad. I could see, obviously, it was really bad, but she wasn't saying anything. People started coming out of the door of a local pub. We hear this. A few people in the street had their phones out filming it. It's one thing I wouldn't be doing would be filming that. She said, I phoned the police, but they said they'd been contacted about it and were on their way. The police were there really quickly, and you'll find out why in a minute, and started giving her chest compressions. I'll tell you why. Because there's a gigantic police station less than 100 yards from where she was murdered, right? Do you want to see the amount of police cars? I've seen it, right? I've been in that area, sit outside that place while they're all sitting in there eating biscuits, jammy Dodgers and Jaffa cakes, drinking cups of tea, right? The only time you saw the police, or the only time they were out and about, really, was during COVID. Do you remember that? They loved that, didn't they? There was nobody in the streets, just wandering about, chatting. Now, I want you to look at that street. I want you to look at that scene because she was murdered right there in that street, right? That's Constitution Street. A well-known area in Leith, Edinburgh, not far from the Scottish Parliament, where that Humza Yumza dude is. Now, look at the street. It looks remarkably clean, doesn't it? That's because it's just been built. Millions upon millions of pounds have been spent in that area. They shut that road, that street down for a year to build that. Look at the money that's been spent there. Look at they two standing there gabbing. Another eyewitness, Gemma, said, I was driving down Leith Walk and the police were putting all the tape up around the scene, blocking off Constitution Street as I drove around. I could see paramedics at the scene. They were kneeling over someone who were obviously doing CPR. It's shocking that something like this could happen in the heart of Leith in broad daylight. That's right. Now we're going to get to the crux of the matter, right? A local resident said, I heard the police sirens and the ambulance and I came out to see what was happening. It's terrible that this has happened, but in some ways it's not surprising. Oh, why is that? Right, well, we hear this. The area around Newkirk Gate has been getting a lot worse in the last year. The street drinkers are on the benches outside all day and into the evening. What street drinkers? What are you talking about? They gather there after having to leave their hostels in the morning until they are allowed to go back at night. There can be up to 30 people there at a time. There is open drug dealing in both heroin and street Valium, and there's always fights breaking out over money or drugs. The shoplifting at the stores nearby has been getting completely out of hand. There's CCTV cameras everywhere, but it doesn't seem to deter them. There's a lot of elderly people in this area scared to go to the shopping centre. Now, what's the two things you can take for that? Right, number one, if there's up to 30 people gathered in a specific area drinking, taking heroin, Valium, and fights breaking out, there's no local police presence. Because they wouldn't be there if there was a local police presence. They don't hang about taking heroin and drinking and causing fights when the mob are about, do they? No. So that tells you that there is no local police presence in that area. The police are avoiding it. Nah, I'm not going down there. Now, I'm talking about an area that has a large police office with multiple police cars parked there all day. All day. The area around a police office should be a no-go area for local crime. But it's not the case. But why is that? Because they're all sitting in the police office or out in vans. They don't care about local residents. So let's hear what they've got to say for themselves, right? From the horse's mouth, literally. Detective Inspector Bob Williamson of the Major Investigation Team said, I want to reassure the community that we are treating this as an isolated incident. So he's no interested. Let me just get something straight right away. That statement there is for the press and for the city in general. What he's meaning is, it's no a mass killing. Calm down. He doesn't give a monkeys about the local community, right? He's talking about everybody. It's no a, don't worry, there's no a guy still out there. They arrested a guy, a 16-year-old. Goes on to say, you will see a significant police presence in the area whilst we carry out investigations. But what happens when you leave, Bob? What happens to local residents when you fuck off, Bob? I'll tell you. There's still going to be fear, right? Through our investigation so far, he says, we are aware of a number of members of the public that were in the area at the time, some of whom witnessed the incident, and others who came to our aid, and we are asking them to come forward. Because he says we'll be carrying out door-to-door inquiries and gathering CCTV footage. That's right, Bob. There's hundreds of CCTV cameras in the area because that's what you rely on now, don't you, Bob, for your policing? Well, we don't need to go down that street now. We don't need to do anything because if there's any trouble, we'll capture it on CCTV. We don't need to deter it. We don't need to chase them because that's a waste of my time. You know, we're busy. Because you're busy, Bob, Danielle was murdered. Because you're sitting in there eating biscuits, Bob, Danielle was murdered. Are you getting it, Bob? I know you're a detective, Bob, and you don't dirty your hands or wear a pair of docks anymore to walk about the streets. Now what should be happening is that Yumza Humza dude, that creep, right, that's running the country right now, that rat, should be dealing with that. He should be saying, and never mind talking about, you know, do you remember when that guy, what was his name, George Floyd died? That creep, that rat, was talking about George Floyd all day long. What about Danielle, you rat bag? Yumza. What about that lassie? What about her life? Does that no matter? Is that the problem? Humza, bumza. Anyway, I kind of kicked off a wee bit there, I know that. But my point is this. An area, this specific area happened, as I said to you, in Constitution Street. And there is a very large police office there. Right? Within 150 yards of where she was killed. And there wasn't a police about. That whole area should be any area surrounding a police office should be the perfect place to live, shouldn't it? You would think that, but it's not the case because they're all in there talking about football and the girls' nights out and all that. They don't want to handle trouble, really. They want to come in and pick up the pieces. They want to watch the fight, and when it's finished, they'll go in and pick up all the bodies. I've literally seen that when I was young. I've seen police when I was young in Glasgow, right? In George Square. Fights always used to happen in George Square, and police would just stand with their arms folded, right? When they go and try and break up fights, no, we're not doing that. But see the guy that got battered, and then once the rest ran away, they're going to lift him for breach of the peace. And we got one, he was fighting in the town boss. Now this scene here, do him. He's the guy that got doing. He's the guy that got attacked. Him there, he started it. The rest of us scattered. I mean, this isn't new. I'm not talking about something that's just happened. This is normal policing. And it's getting worse. Anyway, listen, if you like the content, hit the like button, share and subscribe, because that's all I've got to say about that. Peace out. How dare you!